Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started.
Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Good for Bitcoin. My name is Brandon, social media manager at Trust Machines, joined by my co-host, Kate. Happy Friday, Kate.
Happy Friday, Brandon. How we doing?
Doing good. It's been a busy week of getting caught up with everything. We have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
We missed our show last week, so apologies for the listeners that were begging for us to post a show. I think it was just wishful thinking on our part. We were both in Vegas, and we even brought the podcasting gear, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
so.
we were even thinking of maybe like meeting up with some people who would want to join us on the show, but yeah, honestly, it's just, as you can imagine, it's a little bit chaotic there. But we did get to meet some people who listened to the show. They gave us some praise, some feedback, and it was good to have that time in person. But yes, a lot of it has happened in the last couple of weeks that we will get into today. But it's always good to like meet people in person, especially that are listening and tuning in.
Totally, yeah. Very cool to talk to people that were like, I recognize you from the show, and we don't hear a lot of feedback from the show, very often, right? We see that there are listeners, but we don't always get to like connect to who is actually listening. So yeah, to have like several people not just recognize us, but actually say like, you guys are doing really good on the show, was just like a really cool feeling to get some real world feedback. So thank you to everybody.
We'll take it.
For it was pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, like you said, gosh, we got to meet so many people in person. Yeah, I feel like this year, so this is my third conference. I feel like this year in particular, I was talking to, I feel like I had like the most conversations with like the most amount of people this year. And I'm still recovering. I ended up getting sick, and you probably can still hear it in my voice a little bit.
Yeah, I think it took some people some time to recover, but this was my first conference ever, actually. So I'm comparing it to what people are saying online and to, like folks like yourself, how it went. One thing that we've talked about a lot is a lot of Bitcoiners are still pretty unaware of like all of the advancements that have been made in layer twos and all the new things that you can do on Bitcoin. I think one thing that we're taking away from this is like, really, how do we talk about this moving forward in a way that doesn't sound like Ethereum DeFi and, builds trust and credibility with people. So it was super cool. Obviously, Bitcoin treasury was a huge part of that. We'll get into some public company news, obviously, as we always do. But yeah, for me, it was interesting to see in person how sort of the space has changed since my time being in Bitcoin, which is around 6 years now. And that has been a lot. So for people who have been around for like multiple years, there's been a lot of change, but there's still a lot of education that needs to happen around the advancements and developments. Yeah.
I'll just share a little bit. Like two years ago, Trust Machines, we actually had a booth at the Bitcoin conference in Miami, and we were working out of that, for the whole duration of the conference. And like a few booths down, there was like the Swan team, and it felt like we were like in enemy territory almost with
yes.
like all the maxis around us. We had people like walking by the booth, like the people that walked by the booth that knew like what Stacks was and like knew our kind of like connection with like building on Stacks. Like several people like cussed me out, like it was crazy. And then also like in Miami, there was like this side event that Stacks hosted that was like so well produced and was like really positive and was all about uniting all these different builders across all these, different layers and ecosystems. And there was such a big difference between the experience at the conference and the experience at like this side event where you had people from Lightning and from Rootstock and from Stacks, obviously, and like all these different layers, we're all there and we're all building on Bitcoin, right? And it was like this nice moment of like, you just have these Bitcoin builders that are just trying to like move the cause forward and build on Bitcoin. Last year in Nashville, you know, Stacks also had like a side event, and that was really fun. We did a live show there, which was really cool with Sean. But again, like we weren't part of like the main conference there, or Stacks wasn't part of like the main conference there. And this year, Stacks was part of the main conference. We had a booth at, you know, Bitcoin Vegas. And not only did Stacks have a booth there, we were there representing Stacks. Everyone that we talked to was very open. Like I didn't have one negative conversation about like Stacks, about like STX, the token, and like people, you know, what people say about the token. And
it was a lot of really open positive minds. Yeah. A lot of people obviously have questions, and that's good. Like you should be questioning, well, you know, certain trust assumptions. Like those are always good questions to ask, and they're good for us because it helps us sort of understand what we're working with too, like the technology that we're building on and working with. So a lot of open minds, though. It was a very positive, very, very positive takeaway. I walked away feeling like, all right, there's something happening. This is good. Like we're moving in the right direction, instead of being like, we have so much farther to go, which, you know, obviously building on top of Bitcoin, you're always going to have a lot to work towards. But yeah, if you can walk away feeling positive, I mean, I take that as a win.
Totally. Yeah, I definitely felt the momentum going in the right direction. Yeah, leaving the conference, and yeah, again, so great to like meet so many people in person, and to also just see a lot of people in person again, like a lot of people I haven't seen since last year's conference, right? So it's kind of just like a big family reunion.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty cool. I think there's like some things that I kind of was a little disillusioned by, though. I published a post about it the other day about like some takeaways, but like during the last kind of bit of the conference, I got like a chance to kind of break away from the Stacks booth and go watch like a few of the panelists and stuff. Like I got to see like Saylor, you know, talking, and got to see Jack Mallers talking, and got to see Ross Ulbricht talking. And, you know, like it was just like the whole Saylor panel especially was just really weird. I don't it was just really strange. And then after Saylor was Ross, but like a bunch of people left after Saylor and didn't stick around for Ross, which was also super like disappointing just as a Bitcoiner. And it feels like what it feels like is we have kind of these like two different classes of Bitcoiners. We have like just Bitcoiners that are like literally just here for price. They don't really care about like the underlying decentralization or, you know, technology behind it, right? They just care about like number go up and 21 million, and like that's just all they care about. And then you have like the people that are actually here for like the freedom and the decentralization, and those are the people that stuck around like for Ross, you know. So it's just interesting to kind of see like them kind of go back to back, and to see kind of the audience shift and leave after Saylor. But we actually got to see Ross after.
That was so cool.
Which was so cool. We were just waiting for an elevator to go out to dinner, and yeah, the elevator door opened up, and Ross was just like standing there with like some security and his fiance, and they wouldn't let us in the elevator. But I got to be like, hey, good job, Ross, or good, you know,
yeah,
good
you said
panel or whatever.
Great speech, Ross.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I was like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, and then the door closed.
Yeah.
Before anybody could say anything else. But yeah, that was really cool.
That was a really cool moment for sure. For me, I'm like, when it's like someone, I feel like I know him, but obviously I don't know him, but it's like I recognize him, and it took me a second to be like, whoa. So I'm so glad that you got to say something. Like that was pretty cool. And you could see like the smile on his face when you said it. That was a very cool moment.
It was very cool. Yeah, it was like a really awesome way to like just to
commemorate him, and
to cap, and just like to pay some small amount of like respect for like all the sacrifice that he's made, you know, for this industry. So.
And we also got to see, before we get into the show, we were watching the live auction of his items. That was pretty crazy. So they were auctioning off like his prison IDs, his laundry bag, his prison jumpsuit, and they were going for some pretty high prices. But that was also a very cool moment to witness that live.
Yeah, lots of money flowing towards Ross, which is good to see. Like one of his prison cards, I think, auctioned for more than 3 Bitcoin.
Yeah, something like that,
which is incredible. And then I guess like Justin Justin's son was there, and he like gifted Ross
The
like
banana.
the banana with the duct tape, which I think has like $1 million value or something stupid. But Ross is the owner of that now. It's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just great. Great to see him out and enjoying life and being supported by a lot of folks. But
Totally.
yeah, but I was also like just kind of disillusioned by the sailor worshippers that were there.
Yeah, that's just the way it's gonna go, is like more retail and the early majority enters into Bitcoin. We're gonna lose some of the like grassroots, like real ethos of what Bitcoin stands for. And, I guess that's on us to keep that narrative alive and make sure that it's always remembered.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's important for us to, going back to your point about like how we talk about, a lot of these things, when we were at the booth, we had Leather Mobile, launch, which is also another thing that we need to get into. And, we wanted to talk about Granite, and we wanted to talk about like all these awesome apps that were on Stacks. But a lot of us were having to not talk about those things because we were talking to people that had no idea what Stacks was or what even like Bitcoin layers were. So we really had to like take several steps back and like from a high level talk about like what are Bitcoin layers, what is proof of transfer, like what is that relationship. And yeah, it was just a good reminder of like where we're at with like kind of the average Bitcoiner and and what we kind of still need to work on from the educational side of things.
Totally.
Yeah, very positive overall, I think, is my takeaway.
Me too. So with that, we have some Trust Machines product news we want to share.
Yeah, obviously we got to talk about Leather Mobile.
Leather Mobile.
It's here. It exists. Super exciting. I'll share my screen here in a second just so we can see like a few of the images that the team put together. Really good announcement. I love all the new visuals that the team has been working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the web app for leather.io and also just with the mobile app. So out now on iOS and Android. And yeah, I mean there's so much I think that's still going to come out, but there's so much to be excited for that's available now. I think one of the biggest things that you don't have on the extension yet is multiple account support. So you can add multiple accounts, multiple wallets. You can see all of them in just one view, which is so cool. And just like some things there's a huge focus on Leather with growing your Bitcoin is kind of like the new tagline, right? Leather, grow your Bitcoin. Like if you're currently like stacking and you like scroll down on your wallet, you can see like what your stacking position is. They're doing a lot of things to emphasize that Bitcoin, and especially like through Stacks, there's so many kind of yield opportunities and opportunities to earn more Bitcoin. And Leather is really trying to, showcase all those, right? And make it as easy as possible to understand what all of the options are, maybe what the different risk profiles are of the different yield opportunities, and make it easy to sort of get in or get out and use all these things.
And doing it in a really beautifully designed way. And yeah, you mentioned, obviously, we'll keep iterating and releasing new builds, more features as we go, but we're just so happy to have it in our hands now. So feedback is always encouraged and appreciated. We started with the Leather Alpha group and they've been so awesome, just like providing what they want, what brings value to someone who wants to do more with their Bitcoin. So we'll keep that going as we continue to release builds and keep building Leather Mobile.
Totally. Yeah, lots more content to create and to share with Leather Mobile over the coming weeks. Our ambassadors as well, Leather ambassadors, have been doing an awesome job with showcasing some of the features. Yeah, leather.io. Go download it. If you're hearing this for the first time, go get Leather Mobile. It's here. It exists.
It is here.
Very exciting. Yeah, I guess I'll say it's not quite as big as Leather Mobile launching because we've been waiting on that for years. But Granite is now also listed on DeFi Llama, so now you can track Granite TVL in real time. I'll try to very quickly get a screen up for that. But also very cool. Granite is getting listed on a few different things, so now you can see kind of breakdown of like SBTC deposited versus AEUSDC deposited, inflows, outflows, things like that on DeFi Llama. So pretty cool.
Very cool. Currently, borrow rates are 5.22%, I think, and then earning rates if you're providing stablecoins are at 23.33%.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Certainly better than what banks are offering
Yep.
these days. Yeah, but like you talked about already, lots of public company news. We have a lot of new public companies that are getting into the mix. So first one was the big one from last week. We're going to kind of break this down between like last week's public company news and this week's public company news. So last week, a lot of announcements around the conference. First really big one is GameStop getting into the mix now. They have officially purchased 4,710 BTC. So they're now holding about $500 million worth of Bitcoin. And the Switch 2 came out this week. So GameStop is just, going through a lot.
They've had some identities over the years, that's for sure. Identity shifts.
Did you see the thing where I guess like people that had pre-ordered the Switch and then they went and picked it up and GameStop had like inadvertently stapled receipts to the boxes and the staples like went through the box and like pierced the screens of the Switches. So then people opened up their Nintendo Switches and there was just like a hole in the screen. But I guess they're replacing them and it only happened to like a few. But
okay.
That was something that happened that I saw yesterday.
That's funny.
Yeah. Strategy, of course, bought some more Bitcoin, 4,020 BTC for 427.1 million. Drive Asset Management, we talked about them a couple weeks ago. They announced a plan to raise $750 million to buy BTC. We had Kindly MD, which is eventually going to turn into Nakamoto under the ticker NAKA. They made their first purchase, acquiring 21 BTC. Merger has not happened yet, I guess, technically. Kindly MD changed their ticker to NAKA, but they're still called Kindly MD. They haven't actually fully changed their name to Nakamoto yet. Trump Media closed a $2.32 billion raise to buy Bitcoin and crypto. They're behind, the Truth Social app, controlled by the president's family. They originally aimed, I guess, to raise $2 billion and then another $1 billion via convertible bond. That's a lot of Bitcoin. And then 21 announced proof of reserves and provided links to multiple BTC addresses. It's cool that they provided links to some on-chain addresses, but this is not what proof of reserves actually is. You can't just link to an address and say, like, that's mine. That's not how proof works. So hopefully they'll provide like some more proof over time. But for now, they're linking to some on-chain addresses, which is cool, I guess.
All right. And this week, what do we have?
Yeah. So this week, Strategy has acquired 705 BTC for 75.1 million. They now hold 580,955 BTC. Metaplanet, which is considered, the MicroStrategy of Asia. They aim to acquire over 210,000 BTC by the end of 2027. Maybe let you take the rest of that one.
Yeah, sure. So they are Japan's first and only publicly listed Bitcoin treasury company. They started with a goal of acquiring 21 million Bitcoin by the end of 2026, but then they reached their goal, or they reached almost 9,000 Bitcoin very quickly. So they got a little bit more ambitious. So now they want to go for 210,000 by the end of 2027, which would be 1% of Bitcoin's total supply. So very ambitious for them. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I haven't really been watching their stock too closely because it's not like a US based stock, but I've heard people talking about just the fact that like their stock is like breaking the Japanese stock market.
Yeah.
I guess it's been like frozen and like paused like multiple times because like people are just buying it. Like, so there's just so much demand for the stock, I guess, that it's just like breaking the stock market.
Yeah, because it would be I think it's the only one probably in the country that has that kind of goal. So yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Semler Scientific purchased another 185 BTC. They now hold 4,449 Bitcoin. And then we have another new Bitcoin treasury company that's coming out. No Labs Incorporated has announced a treasury strategy to acquire 1,000 BTC. They are a healthcare technology company. Kind of interesting that a lot of these like healthcare companies are getting sort of like acquired and then like converted into Bitcoin strategy companies. This one was from GoldenEye 1995 LLC, which I guess is an affiliate. I mean, it's a great game, but it's interesting that it's called that.
Yeah.
An affiliate of former Ripple CRO Greg Kidd, and will be purchasing. So he is purchasing the company's common stock at a price per share of 35 cents, and that purchase is going to fund the acquisition of 1,000 BTC, and then Greg will become CEO and chairman of the board of directors for that company. So I don't know if it's going to get like a name change or what's going to happen. It seems very similar to like what happened between like Nakamoto and like Kindly MD, right? Where they're coming in, they're just like buying it and then taking over. So
I think they should keep the name GoldenEye. That's pretty
that's a
on
good
brand.
point.
Yeah.
That is a good point. Yeah, I like that.
Instead of laser eyes, we're just golden eyes now.
Orange eyes is what we need.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we missed some public company news. I feel like that kind of wraps up a lot of the bigger ones. Yeah, we had to be kind of selective with some of the news that we're talking about just because there's so much that has happened over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, we can get into kind of the larger kind of industry news that's been going on. First, we want to talk about the Alex hack that happened this morning. So Alex was hacked for $8.37 million. The exploiter used a flaw, I guess, in the token self-listing logic. So you had the option if you wanted to create like your own token or your own meme coin, you could list that token on Alex. And I guess that kind of process was how the exploiter got into the system. And they used that to drain several asset pools. Most specifically, like the largest ones were STX and SBTC, those pools, plus some smaller like stablecoin and like WBTC pools. This was kind of more at the application level, so it doesn't affect like the Stacks protocol or SBTC or anything like that. And Alex has already come out saying that they'll cover 100% of each user's loss from their treasury. So we already have 100% recovery, which is pretty awesome that they responded so quickly. Users will have to submit, I guess, a wallet address on chain or contact Alex. But yeah, I just wanted to say, our thoughts go out to the Alex team, especially to any users, that had funds on the platform. Definitely good news, that there's going to be this recovery.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the recovery is going to happen like within like a week or two. So it's just going to be like, hopefully kind of a very fast kind of bump in the road and we'll kind of get through this relatively quickly. But yeah, just wanted to make sure that we mentioned that. Thoughts go out to the team and to any users that might have been affected.
Yep. Yeah, the best thing you can do is be quick and be as open as you can and try and just rebuild the trust moving forward. So
totally. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the benefits of like having everything on chain too, right? Is like it's easy to kind of track where things are going and what happened. And yeah, I think the response from the community has also been just quick. So quick response all around. So yeah. This one was massive. Circle went public this week. Their stock jumped nearly 170% after the first day of trading. Initially, I guess the news originally came out last week that they were initially targeting a $6.7 billion valuation with shares in the $25 range. They then upsized that to $7.2 billion with shares in the $28 range after a new investor. I think some were speculating that BlackRock wanted to invest $150 million in the IPO. And it went live this week after debuting yesterday. Circle is trading at, I'll get the updated price because it's been updating so quickly, $117, which is insane. So yeah, they went, from initially last week, at the beginning of last week, they were targeting a $25 stock price, right? And now it's at almost 120. Pretty nuts. And yeah, with Tether being a private company, Circle kind of currently represents the purest way for somebody to invest in this future of stablecoins. And with so much, momentum on the regulatory front being put around stablecoins in the US, Circle obviously benefits from that as a US company. So kind of is that purest way to like invest in that future for stablecoins. So yeah, congrats, I guess, to the Circle team. It's huge.
yeah, that is huge. I would expect like stablecoin ETFs are going to pop off. Yeah, now that this is like the most like clean, compliant way basically to like get into crypto without even needing to touch it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like people making jokes. They're like, I bought USDC and it didn't go up. Like, what happened?
Yeah, that's so funny.
We also saw this morning, I think, especially since it has been so successful, Gemini has now confidentially filed for an IPO in the US as well. So, so we'll see Gemini here in the near future, apparently. So pretty cool stuff.
Very cool.
Next one. So government of Pakistan is setting up a government-led strategic Bitcoin reserve. It is unclear how many Bitcoin the country intends to hold and whether they will be used to purchase Bitcoin or they're going to kind of acquire it through other means. They're also going to be doing a lot of mining for this. But so early this week, or I guess it was last week now, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif appointed Pakistan Crypto Council CEO Bilal bin Saqib as his special assistant on blockchain and crypto. And then Bilal spoke at Bitcoin Vegas last week saying, "This wallet, the national Bitcoin wallet, is not for speculation or hype. We will be holding these Bitcoins and we will never, ever sell them." So definitely sounds like they have a long-term focus there, which is great. And then in addition to the Bitcoin reserve, he noted that the country intends to invest 2,000 megawatts to mine Bitcoin and power AI data centers.
Yeah, this is crazy. I put a note in here just so you can understand like how much energy that is. So 2,000 megawatts is 2 gigawatts. And I think the Bitcoin network right now is around 13 to 15 gigawatts to like power the whole thing. So this would represent like, what is this? 13 to 15% of the global Bitcoin mining power, which is just nuts. But I also think it's really cool when, you know, governments are like announcing their strategic Bitcoin play and they include mining for it. I think this is like such a deeper belief in the whole network when you're contributing to the mining power. So this is quite cool. And even 2 years ago, Pakistan was saying like, we're going to ban cryptocurrency altogether. So this is such a change, which is pretty cool to see how quickly the industry can shift when you have like people fighting for it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Really cool stuff. It's nice also to see, you know, I don't think it's like truly like mining is truly like centralized in the US, but like it's certainly really dominating, you know, in the US. So it is really nice to see, I mean, 13 to 15% of the global Bitcoin mining power. Like if they do that, that's huge, right? So nice to see some kind of decentralization of mining resources across kind of the global grid rather than just being like in Texas. So yeah, good stuff there. This is one thing that we saw last week in person. I didn't get a chance to try it out because I feel like a lot of the merch at the Bitcoin conference was so freaking expensive. I was like, I don't want to pay for any of this. But
especially when the other people are giving away such good stuff, it's like hard to pay for it.
I'm wearing the Stack swag one right now, right? Yeah, lots of good swag. Yeah, you don't need to necessarily buy any, but anyway, Block is rolling out Bitcoin payments on Square. You know, their Square point of sale systems are, you know, obviously used at every coffee shop and many retailers. So their point of sale app is now going to allow users to pay via Lightning. They showcased this, last week at the conference. You could buy like merch and swag using kind of this new system, but it's going to be rolling out to everybody a little bit more broadly in the second half of this year in 2025. And they say they'll reach all eligible Square sellers in 2026. Subject to regulatory approval. The new native Bitcoin for Business offering builds on their Bitcoin conversions feature that they launched last year, which allows merchants to convert a portion of their daily sales into Bitcoin. And it'll work very similar to most Lightning transactions. So customers will get like a QR code, they can scan that and they can pay via Lightning, and Square's integration will handle like real-time kind of exchange rate calculations and confirmations and all the kind of more technical stuff. So really cool. I mean, it kind of comes to the question of like, do you want to pay for things with Bitcoin? Would you rather hold it, right? There's not really a lot of reasons to sell your Bitcoin with all of the tax disadvantages of doing so, but still really cool that Square is just like a major infrastructure provider of just like finance in general. So to have them coming out with this feature is really nice.
Yeah, this is cool. So kind of going off of this, if you were at the conference, you probably saw Steak and Shake was accepting payment via Lightning. I don't think it was through Square. I'm honestly not sure, but kind of just like a use case for this. They're saying Steak and Shake is saying that so far their experience with using like Bitcoin, it's obviously been faster than credit cards, but when customers choose to pay in Bitcoin instead of credit cards, they're saving about 50% in processing fees. So that is pretty huge if true.
That is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be true. I'm actually surprised that it's not more. Like credit card processing fees tend to be like around 3% or more.
Yes. Yeah.
And, maybe there's like you're having to pay like fees when you want to maybe convert like the Bitcoin into like USD if you want to like settle it, right? Maybe that's like a 1% fee. But, if you're just, I guess it just depends on what kind of fees Square is charging for this service. But Lightning itself like is almost free, right? Once you have the channels opened up and everything. So yeah, that's certainly awesome. It'll be interesting to see if stablecoins get a little bit more popular on Lightning, like they've kind of been talking about having through Taproot assets.
Yeah.
If that's going to be included eventually, because that would make a lot more sense to have stablecoins, have it be kind of in a more decentralized way on Lightning. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah. That'll be a cool development to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, so next one, wanted to talk about or give a shout out to the Hero team. We got to meet a lot of them last week at the conference and work with them at the Stacks booth. They had these really cool Bitcoin layers books that they were giving out, which were super helpful.
I have one right here.
You have it. There you go. I have it. Mine's in the other room. I was reading through it the other day. It's like really well done. Actually.
Yeah.
I really like it. But yeah, they were giving out a lot of these books. I think they have like a digital version. You can probably find it on their website somewhere. But anyway, they announced a new Stacks Explorer. Their Stacks Explorer is sort of like the mempool.space equivalent for Stacks. Kind of how I like to think about it. And they just rolled out this like really awesome UI refresh of the Explorer. It just has a really nice kind of new look and feel. I can try to actually we can get a live look at the Explorer here. Yeah, it's just, you can see like what the current stacking cycle is. You can see how many blocks fit into a Bitcoin block, how many Stacks blocks fit into a Bitcoin block. You can click on each block and you can see, the fine details on how many transactions were in each one and everything like that. You can see like what's currently in the mempool, what the average, current fees are, more transaction details for specific ones. So yeah, just overall a really great resource.
Yeah,
Congrats,
this was
Hero team.
Huge, very well done. Like a good UI like this makes it so much easier and approachable for someone to just come in and understand what's happening. And I think like if your Explorer looks good, it like reflects good on your chain. It makes it feel like it's modern and approachable, I guess. So
yeah, totally
huge win.
Totally right. Yeah. Yeah, and then also this morning, kind of in mining news, Bitcoin's 900 block was mined this morning. So it's pretty big. We're almost at 1 million Bitcoin blocks.
That's going to be a fun celebration.
Yeah. I think that wraps up a lot of the main things that we want to talk about. I'm sure that there was many more, but those are kind of some of the big things that came out. I know anything else kind of that stuck out to you between the conference and maybe just like news that's come out this week post conference? I'm putting you on the spot.
Nothing like really Bitcoin wise. I mean, the biggest thing, I think it's just probably because I'm in like this Stacks little echo chamber now, is really just a lot of focus on the SIP. So I know that's like what we'll end with, but I'm trying to think broader Bitcoin ecosystem. I mean, I saw a note from Michael Saylor saying not to worry about quantum computing. I guess that's the big takeaway.
Yeah, I think the big thing with like quantum is that like if there actually is sort of like this quantum break and there's like this catastrophic thing, like Bitcoin is not what's going to be targeted first, right? It's going to be like banks and like, there's much bigger targets than Bitcoin. So if that actually did happen and there was this quantum break, there'd be a lot worse things to worry about,
I think so too.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And like on the bad side of quantum computing is the good side. And so like there would also be like fixes that you could implement into hardware, software that could also like boost Bitcoin's resilience. You'd probably want someone who's much more technical to really explain that one out. But yeah, that's sort of the positive takeaway, I guess, from the whole quantum debate.
Yeah, we're I don't think either of us are technically savvy enough to really get into the quantum thing too much. I think like one of the bigger fears I think with quantum is like Bitcoin could have like a soft fork in the future, right? That maybe makes Bitcoin quantum resistant.
Yeah.
But you would have to, I think, like from what I've seen, you would have to like move your coins into a new wallet address that is quantum resistant. And like, what would that mean for like Satoshi's coins? And
Those
that's kind of
million.
like the big question.
Yeah.
Of like what, obviously, you know, those coins have just been sitting and not moving, and it probably will sit forever, hopefully. But like, what happens with those? Maybe there's an answer. I don't know.
I think people's minds would break if we saw those coins move.
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. Yeah, we wanted to end it on just talking about the SIP. Stacks announced SIP 31, which is a draft to have a 5-year Stacks growth emissions. I purposefully didn't want to talk about it too much because it's still in draft status. So it's now open for comments. I would just invite everybody, if you're interested in the proposal, please provide feedback in the right places. There's a Stacks forum where people are getting feedback, and there's been a lot of really good conversations happening on this.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a shout out also to Hero CEO Alex Miller.
Yeah.
He's been doing a really awesome job on just taking a lot of this feedback. There's already been several drafts, I think, that have been proposed, or revisions to the draft that have been proposed from a lot of these like Twitter spaces, and just he's just been a really awesome voice throughout this process. So yeah, we're not going to give any opinions on it until I think the draft has been sort of settled and it goes up to vote, and then maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. But yeah, for now, just let your voice be heard.
On the forum too, like that's where the feedback is really being taken. Yeah, obviously showing your opinion on socials, like predominantly on X, is helpful, like creates a sentiment of what you're thinking, but like the most helpful feedback is in the forum. So I think that they're leaving room for comments for the next week or two. And then from there, the draft will be finalized and then voted upon within the coming weeks.
Yeah, so we'll definitely continue to talk about it, especially once the draft gets a little bit more finalized. Also really cool, just to shout out like a couple like community members, like Trippin' Monkey has like provided a ton of feedback. And I think like there's several people that have like provided feedback where they have provided so much feedback and contributed so much to like revisions of the draft that they will now be like considered authors of the SIP. Like that's so cool. You know, that is even like an option like in this community, right? Like your feedback is so valuable, and you can provide valuable feedback enough that you become like a SIP author as part of it. So shout out to Trippin' Monkey, and I think there's probably a few others, but I think Trippin' Monkey was kind of one of the main people that kind of kicked it off last week. And yeah, we'll continue tracking it. But I think that wraps up a lot of the main news that you might have missed while you were in Vegas or
watching from afar
or whatever. But yeah, I think we will be back next week. Or maybe I won't be back next week, but you'll be back next week.
I'll be back next week. I'm either doing a solo show, or I'll hopefully have some people join me, so you don't have to listen to me monotone.
It wouldn't be that bad. It would be great. I have not done a solo show. That would be hard. That would be hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, to just like talk for like 45 minutes by yourself. That would be pretty hard.
Don't give me free rein.
One of the first shows. It was back when we were doing like Twitter Spaces, and then I started it, and it was just me, and then like Shaylee was gonna be on the show with me, and something happened, and like I was just like talking by myself for like 10 minutes, and it was like the most stressful 10 minutes of my life. And then Shaylee eventually like joined and saved the day. But it's very difficult to like fill the room with just yourself.
No, it really is. People who can do it, it's like a unique skill set. It is such a talent, and people who can do it and like make it entertaining and like almost like a comedy or something. Like it's a real talent. It's like they're entertaining themselves by doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think I have that skill set, so
we'll get there. We'll get there together.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not there yet either.
You're close.
I would just cancel the show.
X rugged us again.
Yeah. Dang it, Elon. Yeah. Anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you guys.
For everybody that gave us feedback in person on the show, we really, really appreciate you. For anybody that's listening, please try to go to like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening kind of in podcast form and give us a review. We really appreciate it. It does help the show a lot. So that's our final call to action for anybody that's listening. But yeah, we will see y'all next week and have a good weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all. Thank you for listening. We record Good for Bitcoin live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on X. Please follow us at Trust Machines Co. if you would like to listen and engage with us live. Visit us at trustmachines.co for all the latest Bitcoin news. We'll see you next week.